Claude just launched a brand new feature called Dispatch, and it just be open Claude its own game. You can text your computer from your phone, your computer does the work, you come back to finish stuff. No code, no setup, no technical experience needed. And this just dropped. So I'm going to show you what it actually does. Now, here's why this changes everything. If you want to run AI agents right now on your phone, you need something like Open Claude. You need to use Terminal, install a bunch of stuff, you need to know what you're doing. Dispatch does all of that in 5 minutes. You download the Claude desktop app, you scan a QR code on your phone, and that's pretty much it. And now your phone controls your computer. You can send a Claude task. Whilst you're out at the gym, whatever, you come back to finish work on your desk, or whilst you weren't even sitting down. This is an AI agent coworker running on your computer, controlled from your pocket. And today we're testing it live together. I want to see what it can actually do, what it gets right, what it struggles with, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to set it up in your own life starting today. And also, there's a brand new update that literally just got announced on this. So not only can it control Claude Cowork, but it can also control Claude Code as well. So you can actually launch this with Claude Code sessions as well as Claude Cowork, which means you get two in one. So this is a powerful new update that you can start using straight away. And we're going to get straight into this. So if you don't already, what you're going to need first of all is the max plan to get started with this on Claude. If you don't have that already, it's okay. It's actually coming to Pro pretty soon as well. So I'm going to show you exactly how it works and how to get into this. So first thing you need is Claude Desktop, which you can get from Claude directly. And then once you've done that, you're going to see something that looks like this once you've logged in and signed into Claude, right? So you can see over here, we've got Claude Cowork and we've got Chat, Cowork, and Code, right? So you want to check on Cowork. This is where you can use Dispatch, and you can also use this inside Code as well. Let's come into it. And inside here, you can allow all browser actions. You can also keep this awake, right? What this means is Claude will actually prevent your computer from going to sleep whilst you use this, because when you dispatch tasks to Claude from your phone, in one device, basically you need this open for it to run. So just make sure you have that ticked if you want this to run whilst you're away and you don't have your laptop on. And then from here, you can give it new tasks, right? So what I can actually do is from my phone, I can control it. So if I go into the desktop app and then the mobile app directly on my phone, I can actually go into the dispatch section inside my settings here, and I can give it a task to do. Pretty simple and easy. And that means I can chat with Cowork directly from my phone whilst I'm talking to you. Now, if you're wondering how to use this and how to get the most of this, basically, I would look at it as a framework, right? And this is a system that turns Claude Cowork plus Dispatch into a full automation engine for your business. And every layer builds on the last. So let me talk you through exactly how you can get started with this. So you've got layer one, which is the foundation, right? Your desktop setup. This is where Claude lives. So you install Claude Desktop on your Mac or Windows computer. You give it access to one folder like your AI workspace, and then you set global instructions so Claude knows who you are and what you do. Everything starts in this layer. Then from here, you've got the brain, the connectors, right? So you can actually add connectors and apps directly to Claude and connected to apps. If you don't know how to do that, let me show you an example of this, right? So if you go inside the chat here, you can click on add connectors, and then you can add all of these different apps directly to Cowork. So not only can you control Claude Cowork and Claude Code from your phone, but you can also control all of these apps and integrate them into Claude. So it's basically like one big brain that connects everything and also has a lot of context. Then from here, you've got the engine, right? Cowork sessions. This is where the magic happens. So you can give Claude a complex multi-step task. Claude breaks it down into subtasks. It works for each one. It loops in before it does anything sensitive, and then you come back to the finished work. And then finally, the new method, which is the remote, is dispatch, right? So this is a brand new layer. So dispatch is your phone-based remote control. You pair your phone with your desktop via a QR code, and you have one persistent conversation thread that you can now send tasks to your computer from anywhere, right? So your phone is the controller and your computer is the worker, right? So If you've never used Claude Cowork before, basically what this allows you to do is automate different tasks whilst you're away from your laptop, right? It's like an AI agent that you can train and give tasks to in plain English. So if we say, for example, okay, create a scheduled task for checking AI news, we'll actually just go off and check the AI news every single day, right? So you can see it working today. You can see how it works, etc. It's pretty easy and simple to work out, right? And here's an example of what the output looks like. Now, if we, for example, go inside here as well, you can also do all sorts of cool stuff. So you can, for example, like link this to anti-gravity for vibe coding. You could build AI content ideas and create like apps inside here. You can actually use this to create podcasts as well, like you can see right here, right? So you can actually generate podcasts for you, and then you can link this to your other apps, like this links to Apple Music. Here's another one where you can actually create games and tools and that sort of thing, and then preview them like you can see right here inside this section, right? So here's another example of a game that we actually built using Claude Cowork. So if we try and check that, you can see an example of how it works, right? So there's all sorts of things you can actually automate with this. And you can actually set up scheduled tasks so it runs in the background. And now with the new dispatch update, which you can see over here, you can use this to dispatch tasks to Claude Cowork and Claude Code in your phone or computer, all in one seamless conversation. Now, this was originally just for Cowork, and then within 24 hours, they said by popular demand, Dispatch can now launch Claude Code sessions, right? So you can ask it to build, make, or improve something. To use it, you just update your Claude desktop app. So you go to your settings and then update it and then relaunch it. But you see an example of how this works, right? So for example, over here, they've given it a prompt, and then it launches Claude Code inside the desktop app and starts creating this awesome screensaver. Pretty insane. So what could you build with this? Well, for example, for me, I might create like a content engine, right? I could give Claude Cowork my last like top 10 content titles, ask it to find patterns and which ones perform the best, then have it generate new title ideas based on those patterns, right? And then you just get a ready to use content calendar. We could, for example, create a lead brief builder. So we could connect Claude to a Google Drive folder with client notes, ask it to compile a one-page brief for each lead. It'd be formatted, clean, ready to send. And you know what used to take like 2 hours now takes 8 minutes. Another one could be like email triage bot. So we can actually connect Claude to Gmail, ask it to summarize every unread email from the last 7 days, categorize them as like urgent, respond, delete, etc., and then get a clean action list in under 5 minutes. But basically, anything that you do that's repetitive and you do daily, you can automate with Claude Cowork now, and you can control it as a remote control from your phone. Pretty insane. Now, we've actually got a 30-day plan inside the video notes from today. So if you want to learn how to automate this with daily prompts and different templates that you can use every single day, we've got that inside the video notes. And then the main thing I would say here, right, is like some people say, well, AI is too technical for me, right? But the new empowering belief you need to win with AI is like, if you can write a text message, you can use Claude Code, right? You literally just tell it what to do and it goes off and does it. Other people say, well, I don't have time to learn new AI tools. And the old belief was by the time I figure this out, something new will come along, right? But the thing is, Dispatch just launched. It takes 5 minutes to set up. You scan a QR code, send a message, you walk away. There's not really that much to learn, right? It's like the faster you test, the further ahead you get, right? Speed is of learning is the advantage right now. And other people say, well, I've tried AI before and it didn't work. And you know, if you've used like ChatGPT and that sort of thing, there's a big difference here. So with ChatGPT and these other tools like chatting, you just ask it, it responds, you copy and paste and you edit, right? Not particularly great. With this, AI is actually reading your files, implementing multi-step tasks, saving outputs to your computer, and works whilst you're not watching, right? So it's a huge difference. This is like a autonomous AI agent that just lives on your computer. So the new empowering belief you need to win with AI was I wasn't using AI wrong, I was just using the wrong version of AI, and that's very different, right? We've also got 100 prompts inside the video notes from today. And just to recap here, you know, what is Claude Cowork. Well, Claude Cowork is a desktop app for Mac and Windows, built on the same architecture as Claude Code. It reads your local files, implements multi-step tasks, and builds finished outputs, right? What is Dispatch? Dispatch is a brand new feature launched recently that pairs your phone with your desktop Claude session. So one QR code scan can set it up, and then you can text tasks to Claude from anywhere. Your computer does the work, you come back to finish results, and it's currently rolling out to Max subscribers, and Pro is coming within a few days. One thing to note here, when I actually test it out, it doesn't work on the team plan of Claude, so just be aware of that. But it actually does work, for example, with Max on the personal plan. So that's how I got access to it. Master says, "Hey Julian, this is live right now. Is this AI too or pre-recorded? It's actually me." And then Mascara says, "This is why I actually ask. It's like 5 a.m. here. Well, we have time zones all over the world, right? So that's the difference here. But yeah, that's basically how to use Claude Cowork Dispatch. Pretty powerful, super useful. I would honestly look at what you do day to day and just pick one repetitive task and then give it to Claude Cowork and start using this and building up the habit. I think the main thing is like the thing that I noticed with all this stuff is like they're all useful, but it's like training your brain to actually start using it, right? So that's the main thing here. Holly says, "Well done. Any sense when PC will get it?" And I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think the from what I've seen from Microsoft, they're rolling out Microsoft Claude Cowork, right? So they'll probably have their own implementation on that with Microsoft Claude Cowork. So that's probably like Windows version of it. Mascara says, "Amazing, bro. Keep it up. I respect. Thanks so much." All right. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out the AI Profit Boardroom. This is where you'll get the 30-day roadmap and the 100 prompts for Claude Cowork with Dispatch from all the video notes from today. This is my AI automation community that's focused on helping you scale, learn, and grow with AI automation. Inside the community, you get access to 2,600 members, so you can ask questions, get help, get support in real time. You can also see that we do a weekly update. So I actually give you like a weekly update based on all my research and tell you what's useful and what you can ignore so that you never feel overwhelmed or miss an update again. You can also jump on weekly coaching calls and get help, get support in real time, ask questions, etc. Inside the map, you can connect with people locally in your area. And then inside the classroom here, you can get access to all my best training. So if you want to go from like beginner to expert with AI automation, you can do that here and learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. You can also get my best playbooks for AI automation. So how I automate avatar videos and Instagram and shorts and newsletters and Twitter. That's all inside here. Additionally, you can get my latest SOP updates, including the video notes from today, a 6-hour course on OpenClaw, another 3-hour course right here. You also get new daily updates, so we update this with every single day, and we date them so that you never fall behind. You know, like, okay, here's the new stuff that's actually useful. Additionally, you can learn how to get more clients with the agency course. You can watch about the coaching course here. You can learn how to rank #1 inside Google and AI search engines with the AI SEO automation section. And you can also learn how to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me all inside here too. If you're wondering like what are the results like for members inside there, you can see we have 138 pages of testimonials right here. So it's pretty much an infinite scroll of just awesome people getting awesome wins and people learning and growing. And the main thing is like we're building a community where everyone feels part of something, right? Everyone's learning, growing, achieving new things, and that's what we want inside this community. So if you want to check that out, link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Ozaru says, "Keep up the great work, Julian. Is the document available?" Yeah, so you can check out the video notes from today inside the classroom of the AI Profit Boardroom. Go to this section here, and then go to the Claude Cowork and Dispatch section here, and you get the video notes. SOG says, "Should I download OpenClaw or use Claude Code Dispatch?" Here's how I would look at it, right? If you're in a rush, if you don't have much time, then I would ask yourself, right, if you're technical and you want full customization, then what you want to do is use something like OpenClaw, right? Because it's super powerful. If you're non-technical and you want something ready straight out of the box, you don't want to customize it too much, then use Claude Code Dispatch. And if you're really deep into AI and you love all this stuff and you've got a lot of time, then test out both and see which one you like the most. Musco says, "I would love to hear about the Nematron and OpenClaw in details." Yeah, I've got a couple of videos on that already, and I've got training on that inside the AI Profit Boardroom as well. So feel free to check that out. Minimax M2.7 and Zoe computer. Here's how to use this free self-improving update for free with Minimax. So Minimax M2.7 just dropped. This AI literally helped build itself. It's not hype. That's what actually happened. This brand new AI model ran over 100 rounds of improving its own code with no humans telling it what to do. Found its own bugs, fixed them, made itself better, improved itself on its own. And this literally just dropped. Now, right now, you can actually use this for free with something called Zoe Computer. So you can see for Zoe Computer, Minimax 2.7 and Kimi K 2.5 are free until the end of March. So you can get access to this right now. And this is like a powerful AI agent that connects Minimax 2.7 directly to it. So you can kind of use this like Claude Cowork and run it on a desktop app. I'll show you exactly how to do that in a second. Now, here's why this is a big deal for you. This model goes head to head with the most powerful AI tools on earth. We're talking about GPT, we're talking Opus, and Minimax M2.7 keeps up with them. And today I'm going to show you how to use two tools that just came together, Minimax M2.7 and something called Zoe Computer, a free personal cloud computer powered by AI that runs 24/7, even whilst you sleep. We're testing both of these live together. Right now, you see exactly what they can do. You'll see what's free, you'll see what's different. And by the end of this video, you're going to have a personal AI computer running one of the most powerful models released this year for free. Let's get straight into it. So if you haven't already, what you're going to do is you're going to download Zoe Computer. You can get it at zoe.computer and you can download it right here. And then you can actually test this out for free, right? Now, there's some awesome stuff you can do with this. It's kind of a little bit like Claude Cowork or Perplexity Computer, and you can run it 24/7, even whilst you sleep, right? You can book meetings, manage your email, build apps and websites in minutes. You can text it like a friend or use the app. So you can actually text this directly as well. And you can connect it to Telegram as well. So it's kind of like a powerful version of it's almost like OpenClaw, right? But the difference is that it's non-technical and it's free and it's easy to set up. So I'll show you exactly how this works. All right, so if we go to Zoe over here, you can see, for example, if I say like build a Pomodoro timer app, we're actually using this for free, and we've got Minimax selected as an API. Now, you could also use Kimi K 2.5, which is really powerful too, but Minimax is the brand new release, right? Kimi K 2.5 is another API, and that came out in January 2026. Minimax 2.7 literally just dropped, and it's available to code with for free. Now, what you're going to see inside here is something called Zoe Computer, and inside this desktop app, once you've downloaded it, is that you can connect agents. You can actually manage your space, right? So you can see what you've built inside there. And then you've got your skills as well. So you can actually add and program skills directly into this. And you've also got a list of agents that can work as well, which is pretty cool. Now, inside here, you can just give it a plain text command. So if we say build a Pomodoro timer app, for example, you actually view the space, edit the space, and then it deployed it. So it built the app, created it. And then, for example, if we go to this URL, we can see that it's deployed on this subdomain, right? Which is goldie.zo.space. You can customize the subdomain like this. And the app actually works. So if we click on start here, you can see it's working perfectly first time round. We built an app in literally one command for free using Minimax M2.7 and the combination of Zoe Computer. And you can also, for example, check out the hosting, the datasets, the system, terminal as well is pretty cool. And then you've got a bunch of resources here, right? So you can learn how to use this properly. So let's have a look at the data set section. So you can actually create new data sets, and then you can plug in data and just analyze it with the AI, which is pretty cool. And also inside the chat here, you can see your previous chat history. So another thing that we actually did was create this page, as you can see right here. And this is a brand new website for the AI Profit Boardroom. So it created it pretty quickly. And then, for example, here, it created the HTML itself, right? So if we actually click on this HTML, we can see the code that we've created. And if we want to, for example, check this out, we've got the page ready to preview over here, right? So we just built a whole new landing page for our community using this free AI agent. So it's super powerful. It's easy to use. Literally set it up in a couple of minutes. It actually is free. And literally, if you want to start a new chat or whatever, if you want to get started, you just type in what you want, right? You can also schedule tasks here, which is pretty cool. So you can say, okay, describe a schedule and then choose whether you want to do it once, custom, daily, weekly, or monthly. And then you've got the time over here and you can tell it what to do. And then also inside the settings, you can add these different apps, right? So if you wanted to manage like your Gmail, your calendar, your Google Drive, Notion, Dropbox, OneDrive, tasks, etc., you can get this AI agent to handle it along with your Twitter account, which is pretty crazy, and LinkedIn. Now, also inside the channel section, you can add a phone number. So this means that you can actually text it, right? So if you text that number, um, you can register phone numbers that you own, and all registered numbers will be able to receive text from your Zoe, right? That means you can text Zoe and receive replies and basically control this with your phone, which is pretty insane, right? You can also connect it with Telegram. You can message it over email as well. And here you can add allowed phone numbers, right? So what this means is like not everyone can text this, only allowed phone numbers. Now inside the integration section as well, you've got a browser, right? So you can connect this to Zoe browser, which is pretty cool. You can change the UI and the setup as well. So it's super customizable, but it's just like a much easier version of OpenClaw. And it's kind of like Perplexity Computer, except the difference is I can use this for free, right? Which is insane when you think about it. So it's it's a hidden gem. I've never seen this before. I've never seen anyone talk about it, but it looks awesome and it's working perfectly first time around. It does mess up a little bit in terms of like using different tools and that sort of thing, but I think that's the actual API. Is like sometimes the API struggles with calling tools and that sort of thing. But yeah, super powerful. And then if you're wondering, okay, like what are the benchmarks for this? How does it perform on benchmarks and that sort of thing? So, I mean, I never pay too much attention to Minimax 2.7 or to the benchmarks when it comes to, what is stated by the company versus, testing this out yourself. So I always prefer to test things out myself. And I think that's the best way to look at it. But if you do want to look at the benchmarks here, you can see the M2.7 is here versus GPT 5.4 and Opus, right? So for example, if you look at SWE Bench Pro, which is software engineering, you can see M2.7 scores 56.2 versus Opus 57.3 and GPT 5.4, which is 57.7. What this basically means is like the difference between some of the best models in the world and M2.7 is tiny and marginal, right? The same with, for example, like if you look at Vibe Pro, they're scoring equally on the benchmarks versus Opus 4.6. So Opus 4.6 scored 55.6 on Vibe Pro, M2.7 scored 55.6 on Vibe Pro, right? So they're basically even. Now, this is a self-improving system. What that means is it iterates on itself, right? So it can build on itself, it can analyze what it's doing. It uses an iteration process as well to improve and evolve its own potential. So it should get better and better over time, which is pretty cool as well. So amazing stuff. You can use it for free. It's an AI super agent. And just to recap here, what is the difference between these, right? Well, basically, with this whole process, with Zoe Computer plus Minimax M2.7, you basically got a super smart AI assistant on your computer, right? So it's an AI agent that can improve itself while asleep. And when the two tools come together, aka Zoe Computer and M2.7, you get something that's free and incredibly powerful, right? So Minimax M2.7, Minimax is basically a big AI company based in Shanghai, China, right? They make AI models, kind of like brains behind chatbots and AI tools. And the newest model is called M2.7. So it's not just a smart AI, it's an AI that helps build the next smarter version of itself. It's self-iterating. What does self-improving AI actually mean? Well, think of it like this, right? A normal AI answers your questions. A self-improving AI answers your questions and improves itself at the same time, right? So Minimax M2.7 is the first model deeply participating in its own evolution. So, for example, when they were developing M2.7, they let the model update its own memory and build dozens of complex skills to help with reinforcement learning experiments, and then improve its own learning process based on those results. In plain English, that means the AI helped write the rules that made it smarter. And that's never really been done before at this scale. Now, if you're wondering, like, how does it actually improve itself? That sounds crazy. Well, here's a cycle that it runs through. A researcher starts by discussing an experimental idea with the agent. who helps with literature review, tracks a preset experiment specification, pipelines data and other artifacts, and launches experiments. During the experiments, the agent monitors its own progress and automatically triggers log reading, debugging, metric analysis, code fixes, merge requests, and smoke tests, identifying and configuring like subtle key differences. Now, these tasks could have required the collaboration of multiple human researchers from different teams before, but now human researchers only interact for critical decisions and discussions. To sum that up in plain English, a job that used to need a whole team of humans now runs mostly on itself. Now, what is Zoe Computer? So Zoe Computer is your own personal cloud computer powered by AI. So it's like having a tiny, powerful computer that floats in the sky, right? Zoe is an intelligent cloud computer that lets you turn your ideas into reality. So it can store files, connect tools, and then research and build practically anything like you've seen, like apps, websites, you can schedule tasks, whatever. And the cool thing about this is it runs 24/7 even whilst you sleep. You can schedule meetings, you can manage your inbox, and it builds apps and websites in minutes. You can even email and text it from your phone. Now, you might be wondering, why is this free? Well, they're just free until the end of March, right? So Minimax M2.7 and Kimi K2.5 are free on Zoe until the end of March. So it's a limited window, but that is a big deal, right? And Zoe also increased the AI usage plans on their free plan significantly. What do you get on the free plan? You get about 100 gigabytes of free storage, access to frontier models, and that sort of thing. You can also connect all your best integrations into that, and you can bring your own API key if you want to as well. The other cool thing about this is like some people worry about security with OpenClaw. So with Zoe, it performs regular snapshots of your computer, storing the entire state at a point in time on the Zoe system storage, right? So you can restore your computer back to any point as well. So if you want to get started, here's how to do it. And just to recap, Minimax is a brand new model that literally just helped itself improve. It performs near the level of most expensive AI models on coding benchmarks. Zoe Computer is a free personal cloud computer that runs 24/7 with AI built in. Minimax M2.7 is free on Zoe until the end of March. You get 100 gigabytes of storage, web search, image generation, scheduling integrations, and you can deploy stuff to custom subdomains for free, right? And the AI is literally improving itself. Now, I've actually got a 30-day plan for implementing this inside the video notes from today, which you can see right here. It comes with daily prompts and video tutorials. And then also, we've got a list of 100 prompts you can test with this. So if you want to test it out for like research, content creation, building out websites, dashboards, etc., we've got all of these prompts inside the video notes from today in the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. This is my AI automation community that helps you learn, grow, and you meet cool people who are also doing AI as well, right? So if you want to save time and scale with AI, this is one of the best places to go. You can get a link in the comments description, or go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help, get support. It's super active. People always asking questions, and people helping each other, which is awesome. Inside the calendar, you can jump on live coaching calls. You can also meet people in your local area, connect with them, DM them, jump on a meeting, or even meet them in real life. And then also, if you're wondering, okay, what are the results like so far for people in the community? So you can see some examples of wins. We've actually got 138 pages of wins from people inside our school community. So lots of cool stuff there, lots of people getting results, and that's what we like to see. And also inside the classroom, you can go from beginner to expert with AI automation in just 5 weeks, and learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. These are all video tutorials and step-by-step guides. You can get my best playbook. So if you've ever wondered, okay, how do I create AI avatar videos? Or how do I automate X? How do I automate Instagram? How do I create shorts? All my processes for my business are inside this section right here. And if you want to get new daily updates on what's working right now, then you can check this out inside the video notes. We do video tutorials and step-by-step guides daily, so that we're very active and we're always on top of the new latest updates. So for example, here you can get a full 6-hour course on OpenClaw and another 3-hour course right here. You can learn more about Claude Cowork and Dispatch. You can learn about Minimax M2.7 and how to use Zoe Computer here. And these all come with like 30-day roadmaps and step-by-step guides on exactly how to use them as well. If you want to learn how to get more clients, maybe you're a freelancer or an agency, you can check out this section. If you want to watch about the coaching calls and the Q&As, you can watch them here. If you want to learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO, you can learn that. If you want to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me, you can also learn that right here. So everything is inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comment description, or just go to the aiprofitboardroom.com to get access. Let's see what we've got in the Q&As. V says, brother, I'm completely new in AI. How and where do I start? So I would check out the AI Profit Boardroom, and I would start with the 6-week AI automation masterclass right here that takes you from beginner to expert. That's the best place to start. Is Zoho Computer better than OpenClaw? Well, it depends. If you are non-technical and you want something that works straight out of the box, go with Zoho Computer. If you want something free that works straight away. If you are technical and you want more customization, then I would use something like OpenClaw, but bear in mind it breaks and it's quite technical to use. If you're super deep into AI and you have more time, then just use both and see which one you like the most. Abish says, I set Hunter Alpha as my default model, but how to set GPT-4 as default now because Hunter Alpha is not working. So in that case, I would go through the onboarding again inside OpenClaw. You can actually do it with this prompt right here. So if you use this prompt inside your terminal, OpenClaw onboard, install, then you can run through the onboarding again and just set up GPT 5.4 as OAuth instead of using Hunter Alpha. And that's how you can set it up. And if you still struggle with that, you can ask Claude Code to just get it set up for you. But that's how I would approach it. Google just dropped a brand new free update to Google Stitch. This is a massive update that's just dropped, and it may be the most important free AI tool for vibe coding in 2026. Here's the problem that it solves. You have an idea for an app or a website or a dashboard or a landing page or a tool, but you can't design, you can't code, you have no team, and hiring someone else gets expensive and takes a long time. That problem is now gone. Stitch just turned plain English into real working beautiful software, not a wireframe, not a rough sketch, an actual functional app with code you can export and deploy in minutes. So they just officially rebranded this whole thing as vibe coding design. You can see an example of how it works right here. And that means instead of learning layers, components, designing systems in Figma, blah, 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 you just describe what you want, like you texted a friend, and Stitch builds it. So in this video, you're going to see exactly how Stitch works. It's free. You're going to build tools that look genuinely insane, dashboard apps, landing pages, tools. You're going to understand the new update that dropped, including all the new updates that come along with it. You're going to walk away with a 30-day plan to use this inside your business starting today, and you're going to stop building slow, broken, expensive things the old way. This isn't a tool nobody's talking about. This is the tool everyone will be talking about. You're early. Let's get straight into it. So if you've never used Stitch before, you can get access right here. It's available at stitch.withgoogle.com. Now, what you can actually see here is you can switch between web and app. And you can also use the new 3.1 Pro version right here, which is a brand new update and API from Gemini, right? So you can create apps and you can create websites. This is for the front end, which means the design of it, right? Here's an example of how it works. So, for example, here, I said inside the chat, create a beautiful design for an AI jobs board, and it designed the whole thing, all the pages, all the website that we're going to create. We can then export it, but I'll come on to that in a second. So what is Google Stitch in plain English? Imagine you could walk up to a really smart designer. You tell them, build me a mobile app for my fitness coaching business, dark colors, green accents, show daily workouts and a progress tracker. And then in under 60 seconds, it's done. beautiful, professional, ready to export. That is Stitch, right? It was originally a company called Galileo AI. Google bought them, rebranded it as Stitch, launched it at Google I/O last year, and then today they just dropped a major new evolution. So what does Stitch actually do? Well, you can describe a description of the app or screen that you want. You can see how I've done that over here, right? So you can just type in your prompt of exactly what you want. Then from that, Stitch is going to build a high quality professional looking UI. Here's what it looks like, right? You can edit it just by chatting with it. You can export it to Figma, to AI Studio, or to Anti-Gravity, and you can deploy it live for free. It runs on Gemini's best model, which is Gemini 3.1 Pro Thinking. It's currently free. And before Stitch, you needed a designer, a developer, a project manager. In about 4 weeks after Stitch, you need 10 minutes and an idea. That is the brand new update. Now, if you're wondering, okay, what's actually changed here? What are the new updates? Let's run through each of them, right? So number one, voice live mode. You can now speak to your canvas. You talk to the agent out loud. It listens, it responds with audio and updates your design in real time. It can critique your design, build new screens and brainstorm with you like a conversation, right? So if you want to use the voice mode, you can use that directly inside Stitch just by clicking the start live mode here, right? And you can actually speak to it directly, which is pretty crazy. You've also got 3D workspace. So Stitch is moving away from a flat screen. The new workspace feels spatial, and it appears as a widget, right? So the AI moves around as a widget, which is pretty cool too. You see how it works right here, right? Next up, you've got the Imagine More Screens feature. So once you build one screen, Stitch looks at it and suggests all the screen you're missing, right? Onboarding pages, checkout pages, whatever. So for example, here, it's broken down all the different parts of the page, right? So for example, the job listings, job details, homepage, application form. And then you can actually change the colors over here. So you've got this synthetic flux where you can actually edit the colors, switch them to your brand, or you can just go back inside the chat and give it another prompt, right? So you could say, okay, use my brand colors. And then if we type in my brand colors right here, it will start editing the design to use the new methods. And if you want to switch around and move around on the screen, just click the hand gesture here, and then you can move around like that, right? Pretty simple and easy. And you can see it's editing the brand colors in the bottom left over here whilst it's buffering. You've also got a React app export option. This is one of the biggest ones. So Stitch can now generate a fully working React application from your designs, not a prototype, not a mock-up, actual working code. You can take to AI Studio or a developer and deploy it immediately. And then you've got MCP export and agent skills for techier people, right? So it's pretty simple and easy to use. It's free to use. You can use all the latest updates and the designs look pretty awesome. Also, if you add, for example, a new prompt, like if you say, okay, change the brand colors, it will create a new version below. So it doesn't delete the old one, which is great, right? So you can see the progress and what you've done along the way. Now, if you want to export this, you can select which screens you want to export over here, right? So we can just select multiple ones like this. We can select all of those. And then we can say, okay, I want to export this to AI Studio or to Google Duels or as a zip file to upload into Anti-Gravity. So if we click on Build with AI Studio over here, what this is actually going to do is now send this over to AI Studio, right? So if we enter inside here, we can now attach the files and the images and the export from Google Stitch directly into AI Studio and start building out the app itself, right? So not only can we design the front end of it for free with Stitch, but then we can deploy it and create it using AI Studio, right? And they just work seamlessly together. That was so easy to just in one click create what we want. Now, once it's designed, the actual application, which it's doing over here, then we can share or publish it directly from AI Studio. So it's super easy and simple just to set up and go from there. So you can see how powerful this is. It is a huge update. Even just a voice alone would be a huge update in itself. But to do all of these updates in one go, it's crazy. It's so good and it's so easy to use. So definitely recommend checking this out. I think the cool thing about this is instead of using AI Studio directly to create the apps, or instead of using Anti-Gravity straight off the bat, Stitch is really designed for front end, right? So it's really good at that. That's what it's programmed to do. It's like one agent dedicated to design. Why is that important? It's important because you're going to get better designs faster and you're going to get things right first time round. Whereas, for example, if you just go straight into AI Studio or into Google Anti-Gravity to create this, the design itself is not going to be as good on the front end. So that's a big difference right here. Now, let me talk you through a framework I call the Stitch method for using Google Stitch, right? And building things fast with it. And you can use this inside your business or to build anything you want, right? So number one is speak your idea. So you can, for example, just speak the idea in terms of like what you want. So in this situation, I said, create a jobs board for an AI automation platform, right? Then you can test multiple variants because Stitch generates multiple variants at once. And you pick the best one, and then you can iterate with the chat. After that, you can transfer it to code. So you can transfer it to AI Studio for deployment, like we did over here. And it's currently building out that app. So you can see it's pretty much finished, actually, which is awesome. Now, once you've done that, then you would just connect it to your stack, right? So Stitch doesn't live in isolation. So you could connect it to Supabase, for example, for your database. You could connect it to Netlify to deploy the actual application itself. And then the final step is just hand it off or own it, right? You either give the exported code to a developer to finish, or you can deploy it yourself with no developer needed. So some examples of what you could build could be like a dashboard app or a client reporting app. It could be an AI automation tracker. Could be an AI lead generation landing page. Could be all sorts of stuff. We actually got a 30-day plan, like you can see right here, if you want to implement this inside the video notes from today. But the main thing here is like, the old belief was I need a designer to build anything that looks good. The new empowering belief is like describing what you want is clearly the new design skill. And you already know how to do it after you've seen this video. Other people say, well, I need to know how to code to build apps. But honestly, you just direct the AI, and that's a new coding. It requires zero technical background. And other people say, well, free tools are always worse. I need to pay for good software. But bear in mind, this is one of the most powerful AI tools. And most of the most powerful AI tools in the world right now are free. And most people just don't know they exist yet. So by watching this video, you understand it better than most people. So we've actually got 100 prompts as well that you can test with this. And you can just customize these to your business. So for example, dashboard prompts or mobile app prompts, landing page prompts, etc. And if we actually go back to AI Studio now, you can see that we've built the whole jobs board directly with the process from Stitch, right? So it created the full jobs board, as you can see right here. We've got a nice little section right here. Looks super clean, easy to build. Pulled in the designs from Stitch, and then boom, shakalaka, we're off to the races. We also got the rebranded section right here, which looks pretty cool. But either way, super easy to build these apps and deploy them and create them for free using Stitch. So huge update right there. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out the arprofitboardroom.com. That's where you can find the 30-day plan from today, along with 100 prompts on how to use this. This is an AI automation community focused on saving time, helping you scale and grow with AI automation. So you can ask questions inside the community. You can connect with 2,600 members. You can ask questions. You can also share your wins. You can also see inside this section, what we actually do is I post based on all my research over the week. I'll post an update that's like, here's the most useful stuff this week, and here's what you can safely ignore, right? And that way you never feel overwhelmed and you can stay 100% focused. Also inside the calendar, you get weekly video coaching call automations. So basically you can jump on a video call and ask questions, get help in real time, meet the community, and see what other people are working on too. Inside the map, you can meet people in your local area. And then inside the classroom, you can get access to all my best trainings. Now, we actually have, at this point, 138 pages of people winning and learning and growing with AI automation. So you can see all the wins that people have posted right here, all the cool stuff that they're getting, all the stuff that they've achieved. People getting new customers, people generating leads, people building new projects. And these are all wins from the AI Profit Boardroom community. So lots of cool stuff right there. And then also inside the classroom here, you can learn how to go from beginner to expert with AI automation and how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. You can also get my playbooks on how to automate shorts and newsletters, how to automate Twitter, how to automate AI avatar videos and Instagram. These trainings are all here, along with step-by-step tutorials and video guides. If you want to get new daily updates, we are very, very active. So you can see here that every single day, including the video notes from today, we add new roadmaps with video tutorials and all the new stuff that dropped, right? Also got a 6-hour course on how to use OpenClaw. For example, like yesterday, we covered Manus Computer, Perplexity Computer, NVIDIA Nemo Claw, Auto Research Claw. We add new trainings every single day inside this section that I personally test. Now, you can also learn how to get more clients for the agency course. You can watch about the coaching calls over here. You can learn how to rank number one with AI SEO. And you can also learn how to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me. And that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIprofitboardroom.com to get access. Minimax M2.7, new free self-improving Chinese AI. So an AI just helped build a better version of itself. Not a little better, not a small update, a version that is measurably smarter, measurably faster, measurably more useful. And that AI did somewhere between 30 and 50% of the work it took to create it. Let that sink in for 1 second. The engineers didn't just build this thing, they handed a big chunk of the AI job to the AI itself. The AI did it over and over, 100 rounds of testing, fixing, rewriting, improving automatically without being asked each time. This is Minimax M2.7. It dropped on March the 18th, 2026, just yesterday. And I want to walk you through exactly what happened, why it matters, and exactly what you can do with it today for free, right? Because here's the thing that I keep coming back to. This isn't a story about one cool AI model. This is a story about a turning point, a moment where AI stopped being just a tool you use and started becoming a tool that actually improves itself. Once you understand that, once that actually clicks for you, the question changes. It's no longer, should I learn to use AI? The question becomes, how fast can I get up to speed before the people around me are laps ahead? But let's start with the story, because the story here is wild. There's a company in Shanghai called Minimax. Most people in the West have never heard of them. That's not an accident. They've been building quietly, very quietly. Whilst everyone was talking about ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, Minimax was actually doing something very different. Their stated mission is intelligence with everyone. That's not marketing fluff. That's actually how they've behaved. They built models that could compete with the best in the world and made them available at a fraction of the cost of American alternatives. But the M2.7 release changes the conversation entirely. Minimax has built M2.7 to build, monitor, and optimize its own reinforcement learning harnesses. This move towards recursive self improvement signals a shift in the industry. Recursive self improvement, that's a fancy phrase. Let me tell you what that actually means in English. Imagine you're trying to get better at baking bread. Normally, you bake a loaf, taste it, think, that wasn't quite right. Adjust the recipe yourself and try again. You're doing all the learning, you're doing all the adjusting yourself. Now, imagine the oven itself tasted the bread, reviewed the whole recipe, figured out what went wrong, rewrote the instructions, and started the next batch automatically. That's roughly what's happening here. When developing M2.7, Minimax let the model update its own memory and build dozens of complex skills in its harness to help with reinforcement learning experiences. They further let the model improve its own learning process and harness based on the experiment results. The AI was not just running tasks, it was redesigning the process it used to run tasks. It was writing better instructions for itself. It was finding patterns in its own failures and fixing them. And here's the number that stopped me cold. The model can deeply participate in its own training and iterative optimization processes, taking on about 30 to 50% of the workload in certain research and development scenarios. So between one third and one half of the work to build M2.7 was done by the AI itself. A year ago, that sentence would have sounded like science fiction. Today, it's a press release. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Julian, come on, this is what AI companies always say. They put out a paper, they show some benchmarks, and they tell you it's revolutionary, and then it's exactly the same as last time. I hear you have covered enough of these releases to understand that skepticism. But this one is different for a very specific reason. I'm going to show you exactly why. After each iteration round, M2.7 generates a short term memory file and simultaneously performs self criticism on its current results, providing potential optimization directions for the next round. The next round then conducts further self optimization based on the memory and self feedback chain from all previous rounds. They ran this process for 100 rounds, not once, not 5 times, 100 rounds. And the result, they achieved a 30% improvement on performance on internal evaluation sets. The AI got 30% better at its own job by itself by reviewing what went wrong, making a plan and trying again over and over. That's not a feature, that's a behavior. And that's what learning looks like. And then to really stress test this idea, Minimax did something even bolder. They had M2.7 participate in 22 machine learning competitions at the MLE Benchlight level, open source by OpenAI. These competitions can be run on a single GPU, yet they cover virtually all stages of machine learning workflow. So they basically said, okay, AI, go compete in 22 real machine learning tournaments against other approaches, see how you do. And the result was the best run achieved 9 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and 1 bronze medal. The average medal rate across the 3 runs was 66.6%, a result second only to Opus 4.6 at 75.7% and GPT 5.4 at 71.2%, time with Gemini 3.1 at 66.6%. So let me repeat that. A Chinese AI company just released a model that tied with Google's Gemini 3.1 on competitive machine learning benchmarks by having the model compete autonomously in 22 tournaments. This is not a small company showing off anymore. This is a genuine competitor playing at the top table. Now, here's what we need to talk about in terms of what M2.7 can actually do, not in theory, in practice, because the self-improving story is genuinely exciting, but you're probably sitting there wondering, okay, what does that mean for me? If you're a business owner, if you're a freelancer, if you're someone just trying to figure out how AI fits into your work, what does any of this actually mean? So let's talk about coding first, because the coding numbers are stunning. On SWE Pro, which covers multiple programming languages, M2.7 achieved a 56.22% accuracy rate. Matching GPT 5.3 codex, it demonstrates an even more notable advantage on benchmarks closer to real-world engineering scenarios, such as SWE Multilingual at 76.5 and Multi-SWE Bench at 52.7. Now, if you're not a coder, let me tell you why this matters to you. SWE Pro is not a test where AI answers quiz questions about coding. It's a test where AI has to go into a real GitHub repository, a real code base that real developers built, find the bug, write the fix, and make the test pass. It's the equivalent of dropping a new employee into a complex, messy project on day one with no training and saying, find the problem and fix it. A score of more than 50% indicates that Minimax M2.7 can handle real world engineering work, not just theoretical code prompts. More than half the time, M2.7 can walk into a real world code base it's never seen before and fix a bug correctly. But it goes even further than just fixing bugs. This capability extends to end-to-end full project delivery scenarios. On the Vibe Pro benchmark, M2.7 scored 55.6%, nearly on par with Opus 4.6, meaning that whether the requirement involves web, Android, iOS, or simulation tasks, they can be handled and handed directly to M2.7 to compete. End-to-end full project delivery. That phrase is doing a lot of work, so let me tell you what it means. You describe the app you want. The AI builds the whole thing, not just a snippet, not just one file, the whole project working deployable. More than half the time, M2.7 can do that on its own. Now, I want you to think about what that means for everyone who's ever wanted to build a product but felt like they couldn't because they didn't know how to code. The wall is coming down. right? It's not fully down yet. It still takes skill to direct these tools, to know what you want, to check the output, to iterate. But the gap between I have an idea and I have a working product is shrinking at a pace that would have seemed impossible years ago, right? Let's talk about the office stuff, because I know most of you watching this aren't software developers. You work in businesses, you deal with spreadsheets and presentations and reports and emails. And I don't want to gloss over what M2.7 can do in those areas. In the professional office software domain, the model's ELO score on GPT Val AA is 1495, the highest among open source models. M2.7 shows significantly improved ability for complex editing in the Office suite, Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, and can better handle multi-round revisions and high-fidelity edits. Highest among open source models for office work. Let that land. And they stress tested this in a real specific way that I think a lot of people can relate to. The company highlighted M2.7's capabilities in a complex stress test involving Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing. M2.7 was tasked with reading annual reports, cool transcripts, cross-referencing multiple research papers, and independently designing prediction models. The AI successfully generated a complete output package, including a slide deck, a Word-based research report, and Excel charts. Think about that again slowly. M2.7 read the annual reports. It cross-referenced the research papers. It built the model. It made the PowerPoint. It wrote the Word document. And it built the Excel charts, all of it from scratch. Industry feedback indicates the output quality is sufficient to serve as a first draft in professional workflows, effectively compressing hours of human labor into minutes. Hours of human labor into minutes. That's not an exaggeration. I want to be careful not to oversell this. You still need a human to review it, to check the numbers, to add judgment, to add context. But the hours of data gathering, formatting, building, structuring, everything else, that work is disappearing. Think about what that means for a small business owner who's been putting off like doing proper analysis because it takes too long. Think about what it means for a freelancer who's been, charging for hours of research and reporting, or what that means for a team that's been hiring analysts to do the first draft work. All of that is getting automated. Now, I want to talk to you about the agent stuff, the multi-agent stuff, because this is where things get genuinely new. M2.7 introduces native support for agent teams, clusters of AI agents that collaborate with distinct roles. Unlike previous iterations that relied on heavy prompt engineering, M2.7 creates strict role boundaries and protocols, allowing agents to challenge each other's logic and conduct adversarial reasoning to reduce errors. Now, let me explain what that means as an analogy. Imagine you're building a house. In the old way of AI, you had one worker, and that one worker was very smart, but could only focus on one thing at a time. You had to tell them each step. You had to check each step. It got the job done, but it's very slow. Now imagine a whole crew. One person does the framing, one person does the plumbing, one does the electrical, and here's the key part, they're actually arguing with each other. The plumber is saying, wait, if you put that wall there, I can't run my pipes. The electrician is saying, hold on, I need to see the plans for the framing before I commit. They're checking each other's work, catching each other's mistakes. That's what agent teams does. Multiple AI agents, each with a specific job, each reviewing the others, each catching the errors the others miss. M2.7 maintains a 97% skill adherence rate whilst working with over 40 complex skills simultaneously. 97% of the time, when you give M2.7 more than 40 complex tools to work with simultaneously, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. That number matters a lot because one of the biggest problems with AI agents has always been that they go off the rails. You give them a task and they start doing something adjacent to the task, or they get confused and loop, or they make up information to fill in the gaps. We've all seen that with stuff like OpenClaw before. M2.7 is dramatically more reliable at staying on track, which means you can trust it with longer, more complex chains of work. I want to talk about something that the tech press isn't covering nearly enough. There's a live production story buried in these announcements that every business owner needs to hear. The model's ability to reduce recovery time for live production incidents to under 3 minutes by autonomously correlating monitoring metrics with code repositories suggests a paradigm shift for SRE and DevOps teams. Under 3 minutes to recover from a live production incident. If you run any kind of software, any kind of app, any kind of website, you know how catastrophic a production incident can be. Systems go down, customers leave, engineers scramble. It can take hours to find the root cause, fix it, and get back online. M2.7 is cutting that to under 3 minutes by connecting the monitoring data, reading the logs, finding the problem, and deploying the fix automatically. That's not future technology. It's happening right now, and companies are already deploying this. Think about what that means for any business that runs on software. Think about the cost of the downtime, right? Think about the hours of engineering team time and teams that go into incident response. All of that, or a huge chunk of it, can be automated. And this is just one example. But the same underlying capability, AI that can read complex systems, understand what went wrong, and fix it quickly, applies to 1,000 different business processes. Now, I want to talk about something that I think is bigger and even bigger than everything I've just described. Because what really got my attention with M2.7 release isn't the benchmark, it's what the benchmarks are pointing to. If models can effectively build better versions of themselves, then building like a next generation AI development could see a totally structural different shift, right? So let me translate that into plain English. Right now, to make a better AI, you need a huge team of researchers. You need a lot of computing power. You need months of work. Each generation of AI is better than the last, but it requires, a lot of resources to get there. What M2.7 is showing is a different path. What if the AI can do 30% or 40% or 50% of the work itself? What if the process of making AI smarter starts to require less human labor and less time with every generation? What happens to the speed of AI progress when AI is contributing to its own improvement? I keep saying this and people keep nodding, but I'm not really sure it's landing. We are not on a straight line of progress here. We're potentially entering a curve that bends upward faster than anyone is prepared for. So this compounds, right? And the reason compounding is powerful isn't like the first few years, it's the later years when the compounding is compounding on itself, right? When the growth is feeding itself. AI that contributes to its own improvement is the beginning of compounding for intelligence. Minimax calls it early echoes of self evolution. That's the official title of their blog post. Early echoes. They're not claiming to have some solved AI self improvement, the same were at the beginning, the early echoes. And I believe them. And that's what scares me, not in a bad way, but in the way that makes you realize you do need to pay attention. Now, let's talk about the OpenClaw angle, because if you've been watching this channel, you know I've talked about OpenClaw a lot, and the connection between M2.7 and OpenClaw is a big deal. OpenClaw is an AI agent framework. It's a way to run AI agents on your computer or in the cloud that can do real world tasks, browse the web, write and run code, create files, send messages, interact with other software. Think of it as the environment where the AI does the actual work. And M2.7 was specifically designed to work inside environments like OpenClaw. Minimax's announcement describes M2.7 as their first model that deeply participates in their own evolution, available now in, like, for example, Kilo code. You can also use it inside Zoe Computer. Early OpenClaw users report superior multi-turn coding, debugging, and long context performance compared to M2.5. So real people using it right now in production are saying it's better than its predecessor. In the exact tasks, you'd use OpenClaw for multi-turn coding, debugging, long context work, right? So for example, this morning I actually built out a app which was a Pomodoro timer, and it literally just launched itself and created itself perfectly first time round. I actually created another website that worked perfectly first time round. So it's really powerful and actually works in real life tests, not just on the benchmarks. In the Claw evaluation, which tests an AI ability to use complex tools and implement long horizon tasks, M2.7 achieved a 62.7% accuracy rate, nearing the performance of Sonnet 4.6. Now, if it's nearing the performance of Sonnet 4.6 on agent tasks, bear in mind this is a lot cheaper as a model, right? The API costs are much cheaper, and you can even try it for free. Zoe Computer are actually offering this for free with Minimax and Kimi K 2.5, free until the end of March. So I want to take a minute here because I think we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. What's happening with Minimax is not happening in isolation. Minimax becomes the second Chinese startup to release a proprietary cutting-edge large language model in recent months, following ZAI with its GLM5 Turbo, and there are rumors that Alibaba's Qwen team is also launching something big soon too. There's a shift happening in Chinese AI. For the last 2 years, a lot of the exciting Chinese AI models were open source, free to download, free to run, free to build on. Now those same companies are moving towards proprietary models and keeping the best stuff behind a paywall, but building real businesses. And that tells you something important. It tells you they're confident enough in the models to charge for them. It tells you the quality is there. It tells you the gap between Chinese AI and American AI is not as wide as a lot of people assumed. Minimax actually scored 50 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, representing a 8-point improvement over its predecessor in just 1 month, and taking 8th place overall globally in terms of intelligence across benchmarking tests and tasks in various domains. And bear in mind, it's starting to self-improve. So what happens to the rankings next month? What happens when the self-improvement loop runs for another 30 days or another 60? This is not the ceiling, this is the floor. Now, let me tell you about specific behavior that Claude Code, one of the developer tools, integrates with M2.7 that they noticed when they benchmarked this model. M2.7 consumes roughly 2.8 million input tokens per trial on average, which is on the higher end of any model tested. M2.7 reads more context per step than any other model, which means it accumulates more tokens over the course of a task. It's a really interesting deal. M2.7 reads more, it gathers more information before it acts. It's thorough in a way that other models aren't. When it works, that thoroughness produces correct solutions. When it doesn't, it means more tokens and time spent on each task. So it's a model that does over-explore. It would rather gather more information and take longer than rush and get it wrong. So it's a strong pick when you're working on tasks that reward deep context gathering. For example, like complex refactors, code-based wide changes, or anything when understanding surrounding code matters more than speed. You want to think about what kind of tasks reward that behavior, right? Complex analysis, research heavy work, documents where you need to cross-reference a lot of information, modeling also. Those are the same tasks right now that are being done by, expensive human professionals, analysts, research assistants, entry-level consultants. The tasks that reward thoroughness and information gathering over speed. M2.7 is specifically good at those tasks. Now, here is the part of the video where I need to be honest with you about something, because I could just sit here and say AI is getting better, everything is amazing, you should be excited. That would be a disservice to you. But here's what's also true. The world has always had jobs that required gathering information, reading documents, cross-referencing data, building first drafts and writing reports. Those jobs have employed millions of people. They're good jobs, stable jobs, jobs that people build careers on. And what I'm describing today is a technology that's getting very good at doing exactly those things. Not perfectly, not without human oversight, but well enough to change the demand for those skills. And I don't say that to be scary. I say it because I think the honest thing to do is to look at what's happening and decide how you're going to respond. Because here's the truth. Every time technology has changed the nature of work, there have been people who figured out how to use the new technologies to do things that weren't possible before, to reach people they couldn't reach, to offer services they couldn't offer, to build things they couldn't build. For example, like the printing press, it didn't just get rid of jobs, it created an entire world of publishing, journalism, advertising, education that hadn't existed before. The internet didn't just automate retail, it created a global marketplace where someone in a small town in the Philippines could sell products to someone in London. So AI is not just a threat to certain kinds of work, it's an enormous amplifier for people who learn how to use it. But, and this is the part that I want to land hard, the amplification doesn't happen automatically. You have to learn the tools. You have to understand what they're good at. You have to build workflows that leverage them. The person who spent 2004 and 2025 figuring out how to use AI agents effectively, they're sitting on a completely different capability set than the person who spent the same time watching and waiting. And that gap is getting wider. I want to give you a few like specific examples of what people are doing right now with AI agents. So, for example, this morning, I actually used it to automate a website that I built and another app that I built. It would be great for scheduling tasks as well. You can do that inside Zoho Computer with a combination of M2.7 as well, right? And, there are small business owners who have no technical background who have been using AI to build coding agents and build tools they needed for their business, dashboards, customer portals, automated workflows, things that would have been expensive to build with a development agency are now being built in days for almost nothing. So in every one of these cases, the person who went from one level to the other didn't happen to get there by accident. They learned the tools, they experimented, they built new workflows, they changed what they offered. And that's the opportunity in front of you right now. This is where I want to tell you about the AI profit boarding, because I've been saying all of this, here's what the technology can do, here's why it matters. And I know some of you are nodding along and doing nothing. And I get it. It's a lot of information. It's hard to know where to start. The tools change fast. What was true 6 months ago is different now. The AI Profit Boardroom is where we take everything I just described and turned it into actual systems for your business, right? Not theory, not high-level overviews, real workflows, step-by-step setups, specific tools for specific situations, and a community of people who are already doing this, already using AI agents to build automations, replace software, and create their own new models. We cover models like M2.7. We cover how to connect them to OpenClaw, how to set them up for free through the platforms I mentioned, how to build real workflows to save you time. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, You already know that I don't just talk about what AI can do, I show you how to actually use it. And the boardroom is where the deep hands on work happens. Go to the AI Profit Boardroom or go to the link in the comments and description if you want to be inside that community. And let's figure this out together before the window closes. Now, I want to come back to the self improvement story one more time because I don't think we've fully reckoned what it actually means. Minimax put out a statement that I think is one of the most significant things any AI company has said publicly this year. They believe the future AI self-evolution will gradually transition towards full autonomy, coordinating data construction, model training, inference architecture, evaluation, and other stages without human involvement. They're not saying they're there. They're very clear that M2.7 is early echoes, but that's the direction, and that's where this is going. And if that direction continues, even partially, the speed at which AI improves is going to be different from anything we've seen in the history of technology. Think about how long it took to go from like GPT-2 to GPT-3. About a year and a half. GPT-3 to GPT-4, another year and a half. Now, think about what happens when the model is contributing to its own next version, when the loop gets tighter, when the feedback cycles run faster because the AI is running them instead of humans. Rather than relying solely on human-led fine-tuning, Minimax has built M2.7 to monitor and optimize its own reinforcement learning harnesses. The human research is still there, but they're moving from doing the work to overseeing the work, reviewing, making critical decisions, having discussions about direction. These could have required the collaboration of multi-human researchers from different teams before, but now human researchers only interact for critical decisions and discussions. This accelerates problem discovery and experimentation, delivering models faster and faster again. The word that keeps showing up in every AI story this year is actually faster, right? Now, let's zoom out and look at where Minimax M2.7 sits in the global landscape, because I think this is important context too. M2.7 scored 86.2% on Pinch Bench, landing just behind GLM5 and GPT 5.4 at 86.4, and just ahead of Qwen 3.5 Plus at 85.8. Top 5 in the world on agent benchmarks. The Chinese model available on free tiers, right behind the very best from OpenAI. They jump from M2.5 at 82.5% to M2.7 at 86.2%. Is a 3.7 point improvement that moved Minimax from the middle of the pack into the top tier. This is a model released 1 month after its predecessor, right? And in just 1 month, it jumped from mid-pack to top tier. And what's wild is that this is happening at the same time that Chinese AI is shifting strategy. They're moving from open source toward proprietary. They're building real businesses. They're competing on quality. Minimax serves over 130,000 enterprise clients and millions of independent creators already across the globe, right? So this isn't just like a research project anymore. This is a company with real customers that's listing and releasing models that compete with the best in the world. And the Western AI industry, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, they're all aware of this, right? They're all watching this because the competition is real right now, which is actually good for you and me because competition means better tools, cheaper. Competition means open core models getting faster. Competition means the barriers to accessing frontier AI continue to drop, but it also means the timeline is accelerating. If multiple labs are racing to self-improving AI, the curve bends up even faster. So let me talk to you about a few things you can do today right now. First, go to Minimax.io and look at the Minimax agent. This is Minimax's own product built on top of M2.7. It's where you can give the model complex tasks and watch you work through them. Use it for research, use it for drafting, use it for analysis. Get a feel for what these agent models can do that a regular chatbot can't. Second, if you've been curious about OpenClaw, now's a very good time to try it. M2.7 is available in OpenClaw through providers like Claude Code. Setup takes 2 clicks in about 60 seconds. You can access it from the Claude dashboard. If you want to try an agent that can write code, run code, browse the web, manage files, and do complex multi-step tasks, this is the setup to try. Third, Zoe Computer. Zoe is offering Minimax models for free until the end of March. It's designed for people who want to run AI automations and build tools without needing to manage complex technical infrastructure. Basically, you can just download the app and use it. You don't need to mess around in terminal. So if that sounds like you, go to Zoe Computer and try it. The free window is closing. Fourth, whatever you're doing in your work right now that feels repetitive, that feels like the same task over and over, that feels like something a very smart intern could learn if you just showed them once, write it down. One task, one workflow, because that's the first thing to test with an AI agent. Not everything, not like your whole business, but just one task. You can start with that. Now, here's the thing that I want to leave you with, right? Because I've covered the technology, I've covered the numbers, I've covered the benchmarks. I want to talk about the human side of this. So I think there's an emotional component to AI progress that doesn't get talked about enough. A lot of people are scared, not in an obvious way, not in the way they'd admit on a Zoom call, but quietly scared, watching these releases, reading these stories, wondering where they fit. For example, is my job going away? Is the thing that I've spent years getting good at suddenly worth less? Am I going to get left behind? I'm not going to sit here and tell you those fears are baseless. They're not. Some things are changing. Some skills that were valuable are becoming less valuable. That's real. But here's what I also know. The people I've seen thrive through every wave of technological change are not the people who had the most to lose. They're the people who move fast, right? It's the copywriter who learned to use AI tools in 2023. The copywriter who learned to use AI tools in 2023 is not competing with AI. They're a creative director who produces 10 times more with a small team of AI tools. They know how to direct. The analyst who learned agent workflows in 2024 is not being replaced by an analyst AI today, right? They're a strategic advisor who can do in a day what used to take a week. The entrepreneur who built their business on AI automation in 2025 is not scrambling to keep up. They're running a lean operation that would have required a team of 10 people 5 years ago. The window between this is new and most people don't know it, and this is standard and everyone does it, is getting shorter every cycle, every year. Minimax M2.7 just dropped yesterday. It's self-improving. It's free on multiple platforms. It's competing with the best models in the world. In 6 months, models like this will be everywhere. The conversations I'm having on this channel today will be the assumed baseline of knowledge in boardrooms and freelance contracts. The question isn't whether to get on board. The question is whether you get on board now or later, because later is more expensive than now. Not, for example, in resources, but in time, and the gap between where you could be and where you are. Let me tell you what I find most remarkable about this specific release. Not the benchmark scores, not the evolution capability, not even the free access, it's the timeline. When compared to its predecessor, M2.5, released in February 2026, the M2.7 model demonstrates significant gains in software engineering professional office tasks. February to March, 1 month. 1 month from the previous version to a version that jumped from mid-pack to top tier in global agent rankings, a version that participated in its own creation, a version that can build entire software projects, manage multi-agent teams, recover from production incidents in under 3 minutes, and do the work of a junior analyst. 1 month. That's not a normal pace of development. The model's evolution is further evidenced by a score of 50 on the Artificial Intelligence Index, representing an 8-point improvement. What does it do next month, the month after? Remember, Minimax is now using M2.7 to help build the next model. The self-improvement loop is already running. The next version is partially constructed by this version. I don't know what that means for the pace of improvement. Nobody does. We're in genuinely new territory. But I'll tell you what it means for the rest of us. It means the tools available to people who know how to use AI are going to be dramatically more powerful, dramatically more affordable, dramatically more capable in ways that are hard to predict even 6 months out. And the skills that transfer across all those improvements, knowing how to direct AI agents, knowing how to structure workflows, knowing how to evaluate AI output and iterate on it, those skills compound. The person who learns those skills now on these tools will have a head start when the next wave drops. That's why I keep building this channel. That's why the AI Profit Boardroom exists. Not to sell you on hype, but to make sure when the next version drops, it will drop soon. You're not reading about it and you're not feeling left behind. All right. We're at the beginning of this, the early echoes, as Minimax called it. Pay attention to the echoes, because what comes after the echoes is the full sound. And when it arrives, you'll want to be standing in it. If you're already ready to stop watching this stuff from the outside and start actually implementing with it, that's what we do inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Real workflows, real tools, real results, a community of people figuring this out together right now whilst the window is still open. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIprofitboardroom.com. And if this video helps you understand something you didn't understand before, share it, because there's a lot of people in your world who are watching this stuff happen and still don't quite understand what they're watching. Now you do, let's get into it. DJ says, the best AI creator in YouTube. Thank you very much, sir. And I'll see everyone on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.